Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Women's Coffee Club. We created this club to provide a safe space for women to share and inspire each other. So grateful to have all of you, and especially Dr. Janet, who is now no stranger to the coffee club. She was here a year ago, so here you are again. Love her topic. She's an expert in the shadow work. So her topic this morning is embracing shadow work. So with that, Dr. Janet, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about your background and why you decided to choose this topic.
Oh, well, thank you for inviting me again. And I feel like I am a stranger since it's only once a year. But I was saying it's a little early for me even to have coffee. I kind of take my time in the morning and water my plants and take care of my animals and things like that. Also, my husband. So he's in there too. So my background is in psychology. So I studied depth psychology or Jungian, uh, the philosophy, the teachings of Carl Jung. And I've just always been drawn to that kind of work. So as I became a coach, I continued with that approach to the work because I am a coach for women in transformational leadership. And in order to transform as a leader, it's all about working on yourself first and really getting into that deep self. And to become authentic, it's really about knowing yourself. And, how do we take off the veils and dive into the shadows, those places that we don't always want to see, and bring into the visible. So, we're going to just do an introduction to that today. And I do have a free masterclass coming up on part 2 of this. It's called Deepening. And I'll talk more about that as we go. I also have put my calendar link in the chat. So during this month of June, I'm offering, well, we only have a few days left, right? So you got to get on it if you want a free coaching call. So I'm offering complimentary coaching calls to anyone in my free master classes or in my world online. And during COVID, I moved all of the work that I do, of course, everyone did, to the online space. So it's a little different. I used to go into organizations and do leadership work, and I'm getting back into that now and kind of a hybrid mixture of, online Zoom and going in to different places and presenting. So that's a little about me. If you have questions, go ahead and ask them, and otherwise we'll dive in. Okay, let me see if I can share the screen again. Uh-oh. So that didn't share.
Okay, let me make sure that I give you, I think you should be able to share.
Okay. And then I'll pull that up. I've been also a teacher for many years. That's why I do PowerPoint presentations. So that teacher is still in me. See if we can get the full screen here. Good. All right. So kind of scary looking, right? Embracing your shadow self. I'd like to just start. I'm very interactive when I facilitate. I don't like to be the only one on the stage, but the guide by your side. So let me hear from you. And just unmute yourself if that's okay with Rini.
Rini.
Yes, sorry. And I also want, before I get going, I want to commend Rini for holding this space for so many years and really honoring each of you for being here in this space. I know it's a very precious and sacred space.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, what does the shadow mean to you, your shadow self?
Your darker side, your negative thoughts and emotions.
Yes, yes,
It's like
absolutely.
looking in the mirror.
The one that sabotage.
Yeah, the one that sabotages, those little gremlins that creep out and say, you're not good enough, you're too this, you're too that, all those past maybe wounds or hurts that we've taken on in our lives. Yeah, anyone else?
Your perspective. I kind of think of the shadow self as the part of us that we don't know yet.
It can be that too. Yes. And we'll get there. Yes, absolutely. So let's go on. So the shadow self, learning to face, to explore and embrace. The shadow self is one of the most important and worthy commitments that you could ever task yourself with on the spiritual journey and in life, period. So to me, those are one and the same. You know, I also have kind of a Buddhist background. So I look at life as that preparation. It's our spiritual journey and our preparation to our own awakening. So if shadow is in the dark, then consciousness is the light. And our conscious light can put a light on whatever we choose to look at. That's our awareness. So, mindfulness and different practices of meditation really play into this. So, I want to take a few minutes right now just to close your eyes and go within, taking a few breaths. Now, in Tibetan meditation, a meditation that I like is called shamatha. So we don't have to close our eyes. The idea of shamatha is we want to expand our consciousness. So if we close our eyes, then we're cutting off some of our awareness. So you can choose either your eyes open or closed, and we'll just take a few deep breaths. So inhaling through the nose, and exhale slowly through the mouth like you're blowing out a candle. And again, we'll do about 3 of these. Oh, bless you.
Thank you.
Clearing the way. We want to keep a straight spine so all that Kundalini life force can come up. I'm also a yoga teacher. That coming in. All right. So from this state, if you have something to write with, I want you to identify 3 areas that are problems in your life. So I know that word is kind of frowned upon, but in the Greek, it comes from the root word problema in Greek, which means to throw out into the light. So we're taking something from our own darkness and putting it into the light. So in that way, I like the word problem. So just write down and prioritize them. Like the first is the most important problem, the second and the third. And we'll just put that aside. So whatever comes to mind first, not to think about it too much. I have animals coming in and out here. Okay. So embracing the shadow. I kind of liked how this painting looked. It's our own beliefs about ourselves sometimes that we have to embrace in order to heal through, to get beyond, to go through the pain of what we've carried. And much of the leadership work that I do is a new paradigm of leadership called compassionate leadership. And our compassion has to first start with ourselves. So take a minute to embrace yourself. And that self-love, self-compassion, self-acceptance is always the most important and essential foundational building block for our own strength and resilience. So while we studied the shadow, we gain more confidence when we're able to not only look at what we like about ourselves, but embrace all of who we are. Actually increases our self-esteem, improves our creativity because we go into that deeper aspect of who we are. And oftentimes our creativity is hidden in the chaos within. So building better relationships with others is important too. When I hold something that I am resistant to or I don't want to see, I may put that out as a prejudgment on someone else. Yet to support the saying in AA, if you spot it, you got it. So that's how I can improve my relationship with others. If I'm aware of that and I see something, I think, oh, she's phony. I have to look at where is that phoniness in me? Or, she's very critical or he's so judgmental and controlling. Then I have to look at, where is that in me? So it also lies within me. So practicing then self-acceptance for all of who I am, that's what embracing the shadow means. And when I can totally have radical self-acceptance, then I can be more fully present. I can be more accessible to myself and to others without holding something back. So discovering, as Tamara said, was that was you who talked about that earlier, right? Discovering parts that we don't know. So discovering our hidden talents, our aspects of maybe what we have never come to meet within ourselves. So improving our overall wellness, because we don't have to carry the burden of hiding those parts of us that we don't like or that we don't want others to see. And we dive more into that in the part 2 version of this. So increasing your compassion. Again, if you have that self-compassion, you can also put your hands over your heart, and that really activates this electromagnetic field and allows self-compassion to begin. And once we have self-compassion, it overflows to others and have better clarity. So when I am covered with cobwebs or shadows, it makes it really hard to see. And clarity is your superpower. So the more that I come into the light of consciousness, the more clarity that I have. So our shadow side comes to the surface in relationships more than anywhere else. So if you really want to grow, you pay attention to those triggers, our reactions, our responses, what comes up for us in our most intimate relationships will really bring up a lot of these triggers and shadow aspects. So anytime that you have a thought, a question, something to add, please do that. You don't have to raise your hand because we're a smaller group here. Just unmute yourself and ask anything or share an idea. So the good news is that when we recognize and understand that we can work with our tendency to project our shadow onto others whom we're in relationship with, we can release ourselves from the habit of having to control it. So it takes so much energy. And again, in part 2 of this, we go into taking away the armor, the persona, which also comes from the Greek word, the mask. So our personality, our persona, is what we put on the outside so that people see us in a particular way, or we can present ourselves in a particular way. And we may have other things going on. So if you think about before you came onto the Zoom is a really good metaphor for being at surface level. All we see is from here up. So we're relating to each other at a surface level, just metaphorically. And what's below the sea or below what we see, that sea level, is a lot of different things that maybe have come up. So I know for me, just in the short time that I've been awake this morning, several things came up that, are surfacing in my life today. So take a moment and let's share, what came up for you before this class. We also have full moon coming tomorrow, so it's bringing up stuff.
I know that full moon has an effect, let me tell you. I know that for me, this morning when I was doing my meditation, so for everybody here, you can't say anything yet because my daughter's not letting it go, so don't say anything, but I'm going to be a grandma again. So that's exciting.
Congratulations.
My daughter that I thought would never have a child, she's having a child.
Oh, that's great.
My husband's over the moon. But one of the things that came up for me is I would like to have some property where we can all live on this property. So of course, grandma wants to raise this baby. They're struggling financially. So if we had some property, and I'm thinking if I were to be more brave and out there teaching like I'm supposed to be teaching as a coach, then I would be making more money and I would be able to do these things. So that came up today pretty heavy.
That's pretty big, isn't it? That's great. Yeah, so when we meditate, we allow these things to surface. Good way to start the day, definitely. So anyone else have anything to share?
I was just thinking as you're talking about this, does this come from our subconscious? Like the fear, because to me, like the three items that I put is worry, fear, and doubt.
Ah,
Is this
yeah, it definitely does. So if you think about consciousness as being the light, what's in the dark is the subconscious, what we don't see. And it can be our unconscious, like Tamara was saying, we don't know about it yet. I think that's the next slide. You guys are ahead of me. That's good. That's good.
Suzanne?
Yes, Suzanne.
Yeah, so for me, it's embarking on my new adventure. Oops, I'm off camera here. Let me come back on. Embarking on my new adventure, I had given up my Starbucks job. Yay! And at the same time,
Now, what did you give up?
I had been working at Starbucks for 5 years as a
Ah,
drive-through window person, and I loved it, but I was on a little bit of a burnout and saying, if I keep doing this, I'm not going to get to what I would love to do, which is serving autistic women. And I came forward to my family to test the waters to see how supportive they are. And well, I knew I wasn't giving them the whole truth. I had to give them pieces to see how they would respond and to know where to stop sharing. And that hurts a little bit that I can't just openly say, well, here are my great plans and this is what I'm doing. I had to give them just a small part. And it's like,
right.
I'm coming out to them and being forthright. I'm not going to just hand over my baby and let them drop it. But at the same time, I'm trying to test and see if they're willing to come halfway to me.
Yeah.
What that means is, are they going to start to say, wow, she has something coming here? She wouldn't just do it to be crazy, but yet that's where they're coming from. And I gave my mom a week to let it sit on her that I was just taking July and August off. And within a week, she's like, well, what are you going to do if you don't have a job in September? And that was my clue to say, no, I can't share the rest of my dream with her.
Right.
I'd love
You
to.
can see you're bringing up something really important, how the shadow is there to protect and to shield.
Yes.
So we have discernment. We're not going to totally be open, too much information. And your discernment is telling you, you're using your wisdom to see, how much can I give at a particular time. So we always have that ability to make that choice. Am I going to put it all out there? And what's going to happen if I do? So the shadow is very vulnerable. Is that, again, this is part 2, but you guys are like ahead of the game here.
Yeah, I've had
It's
this.
that part within that we protect, our most vulnerable inner self.
That's right. I've come a long way with my mom, but I just know that she's not ready for the whole story.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. I've had a lot of people in my groups who know what I'm doing and they're supportive for me. So I've just had to acknowledge that that's where mom is. That's where the compassion is. That's where she can handle. That's where my daughters can handle because they're still in what we call common hour. Gotta have a job. Gotta have that paycheck.
Yeah.
All the while knowing that I know my plan and I know that I have support around it.
Right. So, and that's that first aspect of the shadow work that gives you self-confidence because you know what's within you. It's that complete knowing of you and being able to withstand and not take on these projections from others. Yeah. So that in the same way, if I know my shadow, I'm not projecting my stuff on others.
Yeah.
It's very complex because, You know, I'm doing my shadow work, you're doing your shadow work, but everyone isn't doing their shadow work, you know? So that's where the discernment, your wisdom comes in. Yes, Kathleen. Thank you.
I am constantly astounded by the coincidences that happen in this group. When I heard someone talk about their daughter having their grandchild, so I just found out that I'm going to be a grandmother for the first time.
Oh,
My
wow.
my daughter's 42. I never in a million years thought that she would have a child. I never knew whether I would be a grandmother or not.
Yeah.
So it's both a happy and sad time for me because my daughter and I have been estranged for some time, and I'm concerned that I'm not going to play as big a part in my grandchild's life as I would like to. And this plays into one of the shadow aspects of myself, which is a feeling of uh, feeling separation um, and not belonging,
Oh,
which is
yes.
something that I've always had. And so this is bringing that up along with one of the other things that I put down was lack of self-love, lack of self-worth. And so it's bringing up a lot of
Mhm.
things that I need to work on in me.
Yeah, that will. And I'm definitely there with you. My daughter-in-law had my grandson, she was 43. And she had tried several times before with miscarriages. So I knew that that was going to be the only one. And I don't know if anyone has well, I do know from research that, you know, not granddaughters, but daughter-in-laws can be a source of difficulty. And she definitely is, and is estranging my grandson from me in several ways. You know, there's also some openings that are coming, but it is difficult and it does bring up those being left out feelings, not fitting in, not belonging. And yeah, when she tells me you can come for 5 hours and you have to be out at this time.
Wow.
So yeah, it takes a lot. There is a lot of work to do on that. Yet look what it's doing. You know, it is bringing up all of that which needs to be healed within here because all of that was there before I had a daughter-in-law, right? Before you had the grandchild. So it brings up what we do have to see and put into the light and heal. And I am getting stronger. So I've had 7 years to work with this. She's 7 years old now.
Wow.
Mm.
So I would
That,
love to have that home with everyone who was talking about that. Is she gone?
Dr. Janet,
No,
do you think you want to stop the share, just let everybody talk, or do you still have a lot of slides here?
Well, let me get to the next. This is what we're talking about. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's a model called Johari window, and it was developed by two men, Joe and Harry. And we have these aspects of our personality. So the open part of me allows me to express openly and to share with you. And it's things that I see about me and that you see about me. So those are not in the shadow because I put that all out there. But just like Tamara was saying, there's a blind spot. There's things I don't know about myself. I'm not able to see everything. I need feedback from others in order to see. I need to experience. I need to pay attention to those triggers that are coming at me in order to see where I'm blind. So I can open up that blind area by asking for feedback. I also have a hidden area of areas within me that I'm not going to share with others. So I may know them. They're not blind to me, they're known to me, but I use the discretion as when I'm going to share them or if I'm going to share them. And then I have the unknown parts also that we talked about earlier too. What I haven't discovered yet, what I haven't experienced, what's in my future, what may lie ahead for me. So I think this is a real useful tool. And let me see where we're going here. Yeah. So just real briefly on this, we manage our polarities. You were talking earlier about the negative, the positive, the dark side of ourselves, where, we can see the good and the negative. So I want you to look at what you wrote down. And if these are problem areas, I want you to be able to see a positive in the negative. And the positive has a negative to it too. So both of those are within our shadow and our shiny side. So we have, our positive aspect. We think, oh, we're this and we're this and we're this. But there's also something negative in that. Like I can say, oh, I am totally spontaneous. And what's negative about me being spontaneous is that I may not get my work done or things. Or I'm very creative, but I could spend all day creating a PowerPoint and let everything else go. So there's both involved. I can go into the negative and see the positive in the negative. And that's where we embrace the shadow. So I think we can stop here and open up. So applying, like I said earlier, Buddhist mindfulness practices or prayer, meditation, kind of loving kindness and compassion. And here's again that polarity. So the fear, the anxiety, feeling stuck, feeling sad, our abandonment issues, frustration, our body image, our self-image, all those are contained in the shadow. And then, the glowing part of patience and trust and our loving kindness, our peace, our ability to flow and joy and be happy is the stronger part that needs to embrace that area of our shadow aspects. So not becoming enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness light or conscious. So we want to take what's dark and bring it into the light. And I'll leave this with all of you too. I can send it on to Rini. And then we will open up and let everyone talk. So this is what we're doing in part 2, is peeling that onion, which is hard work, to get to that little core. And look at the inside of the onion is actually a heart shape. So once we take off all the peels, we may cry while we're doing it, but we definitely get to the heart of who we are, our essential self, that precious you, that most vulnerable part. So again, if you spot it, you got it. Your shadow work will continue to allow others to see you clearly as you see them clearly, and that everything is a reflection of you. So this is the next part, is called the deepening. And that you are the one who carries the light. And we have full moon tomorrow, which is a time to bring the darkness into the light and to really ground. It's a moon in Capricorn. So if any of you are Capricorn, that's a grounding place. So we can balance all of those emotions that are coming up with the full moon. So I also do a little tarot reading. So if you call on or schedule on that complimentary coaching session, we can do a 3-card reading that shows what you need to release, what goals you're connecting to, and how you're going to start something new for this moon. All right.
Wow, that's amazing. I love it. I mean, I think all of us have that. I could relate to your presentation. So with that, Victoria, go ahead. Hi, Julie.
Hi.
Victoria, let's have Victoria, and then we'll go to Julie after that.
I wanted to get back to those shadow side, my shadow side, and the main thing being not having enough time. Will I have enough time in my life to achieve my goal? Because as far as astrology is concerned, I'm an Aries woman, rising Scorpio.
Oh,
So water and fire and
stay away from her. No, it's a lot of power, a lot of
it's a lot of power, but it's a lot of
energy.
also when something comes up, it is dramatic.
Yes.
I can stay for years on a constant growth, grounding, everything is good, everything is peachy, I would say. And then big bada boom.
I get that. I have Scorpio moon.
Okay. And so I want to say, when Rini mentioned the worry, the fear, and the doubt,
Yes.
which are major, I would say, negative and destructive emotion, which are still human emotions. When this hit me, although I'm not a person who worry, otherwise I don't think I would be the person that I am, because for quite amount of years now, I read one day, I'm a spiritual person, so I grab in Eastern philosophy and I grab in Western philosophy, and that makes me feel good. But as far as the worry, the thing that always come to my mind is that God says, don't worry. Don't worry. It's not of your concern to worry. Let me worry for you.
Yes.
So giving up the worry. Beautiful scriptures in the Bible says, do the lily of the valley worry? Compare myself. I love flowers. So I compare my identity and the energy that I carry as a flower.
Yes.
And I don't want to worry, and I don't. I can get emotional, but it doesn't last long, basically, because I cannot live or be at peace in that state of worry.
Right.
As far as fear and doubt, I can say that I have no fear. And then the doubt, as far as doubt is, I don't, on my last minute on this earth or last breath, I don't want to say what if. I don't want to say
No,
all
that's
those
so true.
things. So I take actions.
Yeah,
Sometimes the actions are wonderful and sometimes are pretty dramatic.
right. Well, that's your Aries and Scorpio going
Yeah.
together.
Oh,
You
So,
can't
but it,
hold back an Aries woman. Who else is Aries here?
yeah.
Anyone else?
And as far as, link that to my shadow side is quite aggressive. I
Yeah,
guess, because when it hit me really hard. It doesn't hit me often, but when it hits me hard. And if I could temper
yeah,
that would be that's my work, becoming maybe more compassionate and understanding of this side of me that
Mhm.
is quite dramatic. Not
Yeah,
that I like
well,
drama, but
embracing
dramatic in
that.
different.
That's where we embrace the shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Victoria. I think Julie has her hand up, so let's go with Julie and then
Kathleen and
Carol.
Julie.
I've had it up and down, up and down. Then I think, oh, what was he going to say now? Because I've been listening to. I think this is lovely, and I mean we've all got a shadow, but I think the shadow part of you is hidden with beautiful parts as well. That until we explore it, they don't come out. So the other things are often holding it back. So
Mhm.
I just have been undergoing an oh, I don't know what you call it, a rebirth maybe, I don't know. So many things, and it's an incredible time to watch the habitual patterns. By the time you're 71, some pretty you repeat the same old rubbish over and over, and
Mhm.
I'm starting to see that and see the effect it has and the circumstances I've been in, and it's actually balancing those swings and as you say, swings and roundabouts or whatever, and embracing the shadow bits, like oh, I'm always this or I'm always that. It doesn't matter, bring it all in, because
Mhm.
you need to lay it out on the table, and once it's laid out on the table, I think you see why that's there, and it just has to come from self-love again, and understanding and compassion for yourself,
Yeah.
and process it. So, like you say, have a damn good ball. It's really good to have a good damn ball, and then people always want to say, "Oh, stop," and I think, nah, let it go. It's best to let it go. Really, really let it go, and then it's that sort of washing. But I'm very aware of this sharing bit, because in my life I've shared everything, absolutely everything, to the, to the point sometimes people feel like they have to recover from an avalanche. And so yes, why do we need to reveal everything? You see, underneath that for me was I needed approval. I needed to know that um, I was included or loved or whatever. So that was and I had to get it all out, otherwise I might miss out. It's that FOMO too, unless I explained everything. So that's a lovely thing to heal, I think, and just embrace everything every day, and then forgive yourself, I think.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I'm a Capricorn, my God,
That's
and yeah.
yeah,
I think I've got a Pisces somewhere in there. I'm not sure it's Pisces moon
I
or
feel that. I bet you do.
Yeah, I have to look up again. Isn't that awful? I've forgotten. And
Oh, well,
the rising, and one's rising, and I think a bit of Scorpio's in there as well. I'm not sure actually. I have to do it again.
that
I've
would be
really forgotten.
interesting. So schedule your time
Oh,
with
I'd love to do that, Janet.
oh,
I
that'd be
would. My three things were that it was coming up for me, because over the last year or 2 years really, I've been viciously scammed and absolutely wiped out of everything.
you've been what?
Yeah, wiped out money-wise,
Oh,
totally, everything. And during the scamming process. So I'm rebuilding, and I, um, and also rebuilding respect. And, you know, when it comes to family, I thought there was everything understanding there, but there wasn't. So, you know, that's created a bit of friction. And at the end of the day, I thought, no, that's the only one thing I can do, and that's self-love. And I can't make them believe anything, and all I can do is love them still, just the way I do, and just love myself, and for, you know, and do what's right for me, and not bother to say. Why do you have to say it anyway? Because you're wanting approval, really, aren't you? Really.
Yeah.
So
So
the love should grow just naturally. Yeah.
Yeah. Putting compassion into action is
Absolutely.
your
Yeah.
self-leadership work. Yeah.
And
Thank you.
letting go of the beating up for your particular style of things, because I'm a bit like you. I
Yes.
just, you know, I start on something and then 2 hours later I thought, oh my God, I was supposed to do something else, you know, got carried away with the creativity.
Right.
Anyway, I'm glad I haven't missed today, so that's lovely to
Thank
hear you.
you. And
Thank
Carol,
you, Julie. Carol.
I will send the invites for the masterclass.
Thank you. Carol, go ahead.
Dr. Janet, Dr. Janet. Hope you go
Just
by that
Janet
too.
is good.
Excellent topic today. I just knew I had to attend today. I am so busy these days, but when I saw that your topic was on shadow work, I knew that that's an area of my life I need to work on. So I came up with 3: perfectionism, restlessness, and disrespect. What I mean by disrespect is behavior that I see in others that I deem to be disrespectful toward me. And I kind of, you know, I think of myself as centered, aligned, in control. But, that last one that I mentioned brings up an extreme reaction from me. And I love what you said, that it's in our intimate relationships, so we don't want to hurt. I don't want to hurt close friends, but when it comes up in those situations, there's an extreme reaction to me. And I thought about it for a bit here while we were here and I realized what it's about is that judge in me. So that is that's behind that shadow, my own judgmentalism. So I need to embrace that. I need to embrace more of people as they are. And it all like comes together in a bigger package, the perfectionism in me also. And so the perfectionism in me, I'm judging myself, I'm judging others. And when others judge me, I get that extreme reaction.
Right.
Yeah. And then one more thing I want to say
That
about
makes
it. So
sense. Yeah.
I realized the restlessness also, I have a restlessness. And that's not great because it gives me anxiety. And I can feel it in my body. And I also realized that the shadow part of it's just another form of the perfectionism. The perfectionism is giving me this restlessness,
The
which
anxiety.
in turn affects my body, which is not great because that would affect my health. So I just wanted to let you know, just in
That's
this.
beautiful. And that also comes into part 2, is that embodiment work.
Yes.
So essential. So we should do just a little moving right now and shake it off and kind of twist and turn and jump up and down, do something. Because when you feel those things, just release it. Let it, you said you feel it in your body.
Yes.
Notice where you're feeling it and just let it go. Let it out.
Thank you for that prescription. Yes.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
That's
That was
great.
awesome, Carol. Thank you for your share.
Thank you.
Teresa, let's go to Teresa. You're next. Just giving people an opportunity, each person to give feedback, and then we'll go to Lori.
Okay, thank you so much. I have a meeting at 9, so I was about to say, okay, I'll see you guys later, but so I'll make it really, really quick. Thank you so much, Doctor. Your teaching was amazing. It really touched my heart. My words that came up for me was definitely abandonment, anxiety, and fear. I had a huge thing happen to me in 2019. So, but back in the day, my light was definitely gone. And so I started doing some of the things that you were saying to do, and I didn't even know that that's what I was doing. I read something somewhere back in the day, and I have it in my journal because I started journaling very strongly back then to try to heal myself. It said, there is no light without shadow, right? And I felt like I had no light left. And this is really strong in my heart. You can hear my voice.
Yes.
Yeah, so your teaching today was really powerful to me, and just making myself stronger and helping myself. And so yeah, definitely those words were popping up when you were talking and when we were closing our eyes. But I feel that I'm stronger now, and all that journaling and really trying to see myself. I'm an Aquarius, and I love it. You know, people, I love being kind to people. I just love. But that was really bad for me in 2019 because I felt that I was a totally different person. I was dimming. I just didn't feel like what you see now, there was probably like 2% left of this person.
Wow.
So yeah, definitely a lot of work. It's taking a lot, but today I'm so blessed to be here with everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I'm also Aquarius.
Oh, yay.
You too. You can see it. If you spot it, you got it, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank
Being
you.
so open for your share. Lori, you're next.
Hey, thank you so much, Dr. Janet, for the talk. First of all, it's very thought-provoking, which is really great. I'm not sure that I can find the right words about what I'm feeling about it, so I'll take a stab at it. But for me, it's about, to Julie's point about seeking approval and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of my life has been spent always trying to be what other people wanted me to be. And I've been doing a lot of work over this past year of, really learning how to set boundaries, both internally and externally, because I don't know very much about astrology, but I'm a Gemini. And at the time that I was born, apparently all of the signs were coming through at that particular time. So I don't know if that's what makes me special or not. I'm not sure. But what I can tell you is that I've always wanted to lead from an authentic place, and I've always wanted to lead with love in my leadership. And there have been people in my past that have really tried to squash that enthusiasm and that bigger than life attitude and so on and so forth. And so I always had to wrestle with that, because when I was seeking approval, I was always allowing that to happen. And so now I'm trying to get into touch with who I am as a person and not have my light dimmed, but at the same time set those boundaries so that I'm able to still function and flourish in my leadership. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Sounds beautiful. Yeah. And just know, so just to level the playing field, and as women, we all go through that abandonment, that people pleasing, perfectionism. I had two of the same part-time jobs at one time. I was a family therapist and an in-home therapist. So I went to inside people's homes and stirred things up and made trouble. But it was two different companies. So one company was, oh, you're wonderful, you're effective. And at the exact same time, the other was, you're not aggressive enough, you're not this enough, you're not that enough. You know, it was definitely polarities. I was doing the same thing, but it's also, you know, perception and, well, so many things. I don't want to take the time up, but, you know, we are trying to please. So you're going from this place being this and this place being this, and, you know, really trying to please everyone. And where are you in all that? So it's really a self-discovery. Thank you for sharing that self-discovery of your own journey.
Yes, thank you, Lori. It's 8 o'clock right now, so
Yeah.
if any of you need to leave, feel free to do so. Dr. Janet, if you don't mind, maybe a few more minutes. I'm going to ask Omeka to
Yes.
give us the feedback, and then we'll go back to you, Kathleen. I see your hands there. So, Omeka, go ahead.
Yeah, hey, I was walking and I'm eating watermelon, looking at the shadows,
I
and
love
I
you.
know shadows have shadows have many meanings, and I would like to listen to the replay. But when I love to play, and so this is my reality of shadows, like every day since I'm outside a lot, and there's no shadow without the light, and I like to communicate, to talk to my shadow. Because I'm in alignment with my shadow, because whatever I do, my shadow does, without the eyes and the ears and there's no detail. So, and a lot of times my shadow is bigger than me, whatever me is and whatever I and all of that, one with nature. And yeah, so as I look out at the shadows that other things are reflecting, I guess shadows reflect. Yeah, it just brings me a joy because I know that light has something to do with it, and not that it's a light and dark, good and bad type of thing, but I just see hope and brightness and joy in the shadows.
Thank you.
That's
Yes.
Beautiful.
wonderful. What a great attitude. Thank you for sharing that. Kathleen, do you still want to say something? I know I see your hands up. I don't know if that was from the passer.
I just forgot to put it down.
Okay.
My hand, but thank you. This was a wonderful presentation, and it's such important work. And it's important. It's important always, but I feel around special times like today, the summer solstice and the full moon coming makes it even more important.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you,
More
Kathleen.
powerful.
So have a wonderful summer solstice.
Yes.
Celebrate. Make sure you celebrate. And even do like Omeka talked about, do some dancing with your shadow.
Yes, she does drumming.
Shadow dancing.
That's awesome. So since it's 8:04, so Tamara, you'll be the last one, and then I'll give it back to Dr. Janet to close this out. So go ahead, Tamara.
So the little one's not here yet, so I have a little extra time. So I really enjoyed this conversation, and I wanted to go back to your slides on your second slide where you had the list of the processes.
Right.
What I've noticed in myself is I've gone down that list, and then I started over.
Right.
Right. So it's like you just keep, as you grow in that list, other things are gonna be come up because everything rises up to the surface as you are going through each shadow that you're becoming aware of. So I mean, at first I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm a failure. I'm back at this. But it's not that I'm a failure or any of us are failures. This is just our process of growing in ourselves and learning what is really who we are. And so as you're
Yeah.
at your shadows and growing, don't feel like it's a step back, because really you look at what you've already accomplished. Look at where
Yeah.
you're at
Yeah,
now.
you're never going backwards, and think of that peeling the onion. It kind of never ends. I mean, Julie mentioned her age. I'm 75. I'm still peeling away, and yeah, we wonder, where are we gonna be? Are we gonna finish this?
Right.
But I think it's an eternal process.
Yes, I'm reading this book right now, and it's okay. I'm a weird one. I like afterlife experiences. So I'm listening to this book right now where there's a person who's doing QHHT. So she's talking to this guy who had already passed over, and he's talking about how in this life we're learning certain things. But if we don't all, we don't learn everything this life, that's okay. We're going to do it in the next life too. So
Yeah.
it's not like it's a hurry.
No.
It's a
Yeah.
process for us.
So on these three, I'll end with this. Thank you, Tamara, for that. The first one is usually the one that we are putting our focus on, but it's not the real issue. And I think you've all uncovered that. The second one is kind of what we do to just take time and make ourselves busy so that we avoid the real issue, which is your third, whatever you wrote at that third level. So the others are just kind of, the surface, the busy work to keep us awake, that anxiety that we create. The perfectionism is the external manifestation of what's going on deep down inside, which is, those feelings of not being good enough. And then the anxiety is just to cover it up. So you can play with those. And also, when you schedule your time, then we can talk more. So I really enjoyed each of you. You're brilliant, and I love it. Always confirms why I work with amazing women.
Thank you so much, Dr. Janet. This
Thank
is
you.
such an amazing conversation, so important to be able to, you just kind of highlight the things that we need to do that sometimes we're not even conscious about. But with that, thank you again, not only Dr. Janet, but to all of you who are here participating and and for your contribution to the overall conversation. Next week, it's really an appropriate topic as a follow-up. It's the Be Your Own Soulmate by Josette Diaz. So that's a good
Nice.
kind of like the next step is be
It
your own
is.
soulmate. Yes, especially for those that are in the midlife over 50 kind of age group.
Nice.
So yes, thank you again,
Thank
everyone,
you.
Dr. Janet,
Namaste.
and we'll see you all. Have a great week. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you again back here next week. Thank you all. Bye-bye.